professional guys, they, for instance, Kevin Van Dam or Mike Akinali, so all those guys, when they set the hook, by the time they set the hook, they are at the back of the boat by the motor. Can I do that? No. I don't think I miss that much fish setting the hook like this. So, you know, setting the hook is setting the hook.
What does it cost to set a hook?
It's free. Yeah. So, you know, it's all everybody's style, I guess. And I had a hook set so hard, the fish just jumped out of the water. It's all up to you how you set the hook. You know what kind of line that you like to use. You know, you just have to test it out. So when I'm fishing this, one of the reasons that I use 50-pound line is I've got so many snakehead in this. I've got 10, 12-pound snakehead. So if you're into the snakehead fishing, this is the rule, especially in the pad field. So when that fish hits it, the initial jerk of this is really, really strong. But when they're fighting, they come kind of, someone told you, but when they hit it like wow. Any question you guys have? Okay. All right, I'm going to go into the spawning fishing here. In the early April to early May, fish really aggressively spawn here. The grass is coming out pretty good. So I switched to mainly two lures, salt plastic and lipless crankbait. Okay.
So when does the spawn start to happen?
Early April.
Early April.
Let me get that box there.
Well, I think they spawned from about late March through October last year. It was really weird.
It was a leap year last year, so everything was kind of a month behind. But how can you tell whether she's been spawning or not? Does anybody know?
Either red tail
Yeah.
or red dust.
She's bleeding actually. She's been fanning the bed, and then she's actively fanning the bed. But sometimes she got a little scars in the bottom. You know, she's been bumped around by the male. You know, she's pretty bad shape by then. But she's guarding the bed. So in the springtime, that's the only time I pretty much use this lure. A red crawfish top style, lipless crankbait. This is an old, I think cotton coil next to this. Half an ounce to 3/8 ounce. Sometimes I use this red eye by Strike King. Once again, I'm searching for aggressive fish. Once again, I'm using a braided line, throwing out there. I want this thing to hit the bottom. It's not actually hitting the bottom, it's actually hitting the top of the grass. I want this thing to get stuck on the grass. Once you get stuck on the grass, you kind of rip it out of there and let it sit. When you rip it, it comes up a little bit and let it go. That's when the fish is going to hit it. And for some reason, this noise attracts the fish. I don't know. It's just a magical noise, I guess.
Last year when we were fishing, we heard one trying to throw it. Somebody broke it off, and he had a rattling crankbait on it. And kept coming up with it. Hearing the splash, hearing the rattle.
I keep hearing this rattle noise and then splash on the back of the boat. And I looked at it. This poor bass was kept jumping out of the water trying to shake the rattle trap. That was hilarious. By the way, I've caught so many times the fish I always caught. So, you know, that's how much fish brain, how big they are. So, my specialty is actually soft plastic bait. As Ken is telling you, I'm really slowed down a lot. I like to see my hook gets rusted by the time I get my hook back out of the water. I'm not just waiting for bass to hit my lure. I'm actually studying the bottom with my lure. So I know, within 50 yards, I know every rock, every grass, every ditch there is, memorizing in my head. Sometimes I'm putting that waypoint in the GPS that I have, so that in a tournament days I can always come back and study the area again. It looks like it's all flat, but there's always a little bit of culvert where the water comes out. So when I'm out there trying to study or learn the new places, I usually go there 2 hours before the low tide. So I'm start fishing, and I'm there until complete low tide. Especially when you look at the moon cycle, some of the tides are a little bit lower. Those are the times I love to go out and study the area. I look at it. Okay, that's where the fish is going to be, because there's a little cut there. Little bottom's a little different. With the low tide, you can pretty much tell. So once you find a grass that fairly growing well, I switch to a creature bait. This is my spinning reel here, 7 foot medium heavy. It's got a 12-pound line on it. So either 12 or 10. I either use 12 or 10, but this is 12 pound. Just a monofilament line. I don't do anything fancy. I use 3/16 ounce weight with 3 out, or either 3 out, 2 out weight on it.
This is how Tony studies low tide water areas.
Yeah.
You got to show that to the camera over there.
That's Pohick. That's how he studies.
It's actually right there.
You get that on there?
I don't know, try it. Put it in front. That's it.
So, Potomac bass love creature bait like this. This is
Okay, I
a
won't focus.
slip off. You can throw a baby brush off.
Yeah, send it to me. We'll put it on the site.
Or
Is he stuck?
deep beaver. That's another thing that I love to throw. Or any kind of Berkeley creature bait like this. But here's the key.
I had to haul his ass out.
I soak the worm with all kinds of additives. Okay. I don't know the names of it, but garlics. One of the examples I'm going to give you is this. Berkeley Hobby scent. And soak it overnight. The longer you soak it, the better it is. I put probably 3 or 4 different kinds in there to kind of coat the plastic smell of it. And I know for a fact that the fish like the smell. And when I'm fishing this, a lot of guys that I fish with, they look at me and they said, "How come you're catching more fish than I am, even though you're using the same bait?"
Because it sits in front of the boat.
Yeah.
No, even when I'm sitting in the back of the boat, I rarely switch out the bait. Even though it's a lot of times I'm holding the bait together with my hook. Because I soak this over a month period, all the juice gets inside of the plastic. The more torn up, the better it becomes. A lot of guys say, "Oh, I got another rip. Let me put a new one." No, they make a mistake. When you soak this in plastic, try to use it as long as you can. Okay, try to use it. The rougher the surface, the better it is. That's the one thing I learned and I studied. So, I mean, you know that, right? I've got hooks put it together, and somehow I'm out there catching fish. So this is kind of no fail, where it always catches fish on the pond. It's kind of finesse tactics. Same area. Some of the places I love to fish, I love to catch springtime bass, or yeah, Paul, can you
Yeah.
zoom out the, since, I think you have a boat, right? Yeah, so I'm going to show you some of the places I love. Go down south. Let's go to Quantico.
So while he's talking about that,
Right
fishing his bait line, like he does, I don't. I fish with him all the time. We've been fishing since January 1st. He's put 106 bass in the boat, I put 70 in the boat.
Okay, here we go.
The difference between
All right.
treating and not
The
treating.
reason I'm going to show you the Quantico is because this here too, Chickamauga. You guys ever fish that? Yeah. I love Quantico because it gets less pressure than Chickamauga, in my opinion. There's a huge power line going to right here, right? You know that? Yeah. You probably.
Stanchions.
Yeah. Right in front of the power line, this area here is all grass. And I've dissected that grass many, many years. And the channel kind of runs in the middle. Okay? And the fish spawn here. There's a couple of gravel areas here that you have to study and find out. But there are some gravels here in the grass. So when you go in this midsummer, you can tell, hey, there's not much grass there. That's because there's gravel there. All right. When the fish are really, really heavily spawning, there's all kinds of laydowns right here on this shoreline. And the muddier the water, the fishing gets better. I don't know why. I think because the water camouflages them. But I had a chocolate red muddy water. I'm catching 5-pounders left and right on these laydowns right here. To fish the laydowns, I love to throw a spinnerbait. All right. Anybody love to throw a spinnerbait? Okay. What kind of spinnerbait you like to throw?
Depends on the watercolor.
Okay. I don't care what the watercolor. This is the color that I throw throughout the country. No matter where I go, I catch fish with this. This is made by War Eagle. This particular model is called Screaming Eagle. I get 0 pennies with this company, but I'm just telling you because I love this product. By the way, I don't get sponsored by any fishing lure companies at all. I kind of refuse to do that because I guess I'm free-spirited. Once you start getting sponsored, they kind of try to own you. They ask you to, hey, can you do a show here this weekend? Or can you talk about this? I don't want to be out there fishing. Life is too short. Anyway, I want to point out a couple of things here that's a little bit different from ordinary spinnerbait. As you can see, it's got a double skirt. Okay, so this does not need a trailer for it. I never use a trailer. And
Why is that?
I think I missed more fish on a trailer. They grab the tail of it, and the little fish love that. So I get a fish, I get a bite, and I set the hook. And the trailer just came off with the hook. So I stopped using that. And I started using this, and I catch more fish. And the blade on this, what do you call it? Gold and nickel plated, pretty well, very well made. I've used this for about 5 years. I haven't had any nicks at all on the blade. Same spinnerbait, 5 years. And here's the kicker. The head of this spinnerbait is smaller profile. So I can control the spinnerbait a whole lot more. If I'm throwing this at 8 foot of water, this will go down to 8 foot. Just gotta really slowly. A lot of regular spinnerbait, they just don't get down that deep at all. I've caught many fish on the bottom, 8 foot of water, during middle of December and January. They stay on the bottom. If you spin this really slowly, they'll hit this. The reason, now this is a half an ounce spinnerbait. The reason this is a smaller profile is this. It's got the weight behind. See that? So this is the kind of, you are kind of move the weight behind the head of it. It's giving you a whole lot smaller profile. You are controlling the spinnerbait a whole lot better. Plus, when you look at the skirt, how they made it, how they tied it with a gold-plated metal wire instead of rubber. So it's the same skirt that I used the last 5 years. I haven't lost my skirt. I ever changed it. By the time I have to change the skirt, might as well throw the whole thing away, because by then the blades are all torn up, my head all torn up. So I'm good to go. I'm using 20-pound line and a medium heavy rod. Just like they go, I'm going to throw this in the middle of the heaviest cover. And I'm bumping every little limb of it. I'm bumping it. And when that spinnerbait starts spinning, that's when the fish are going to hit it. Especially on that shoreline right there. You got to go in the kind of sort of high tide. When the high tide gets up there, fish going to be right at the shoreline where the laydown starts. By the root, where the root is, the biggest trunk of the tree. As soon as the spinnerbait hits the water, you crank once or twice, bam, there's a fish. That's spinnerbait fishing. Next, so I'm in a tournament. I got 5 fish, maybe 10, 12 pounds, with my spinnerbait and my little gizmo right here. I'm looking for bigger fish, right? I want to call all the fish, 5 fish out. Catch maybe maybe 4 pounders. Replace all those 4 pounds so I can have a 20-pound, limit here, right? So what do? I switch out to a bigger lure. Full-size brush off.
Notice the color, almost all the soft plastics are green color.
This is my money maker. Some reason the bigger plastic bait catches the bigger fish. I don't know why. I strictly use green pumpkin with the blue flags. I've caught so many crab on the Potomac before. I know the bass in Potomac eat little baby crab, but they use the same blue there. So I like to use blue baby brush off, blue flag here. I don't know if you can see it. So we got blue in there. Yeah, see it. And I use tungsten weight. This is a ½ ounce. I want this thing go into the grass, the heaviest grass possible. And I'm shaking this. I'm just shaking this, calling the fish out. And when I get a bite, there's no second thought about it. They just slam the hell out of it. I'm not fishing fast. I'm just letting it sit there, dragging very slow. I'm also studying the area.
Notice the tails are dying on that as well.
Not this guy.
It's like from here, he's just dying.
This one, the dye doesn't really matter. Let me tell you a story about how I became so efficient at casting. people tell me I catch pretty good, so I'm going to tell you a story about it. There was a fishing buddy who used to live up here about 8-9 years ago, and him and I used to go fishing all the time. He didn't tell me at the time, but later on he told me about it because he became the writer of a fishing magazine down in Richmond. He moved down to Richmond. He wrote a little fishing story about himself. Apparently when he was younger, he got into trouble with the law many times. He's been out of jail. So he met me, through the fishing. So he took me out fishing all over the place. So apparently they kind of, he thought that was kind of redeeming himself to the God and try to wash his sin that he did. It was kind of a very emotional story. He showed it to me later on. But anyway, him and I used to go fishing on a 12-foot John boat. He put it in the back of the pickup truck. Any lake in Fairfax County, Loudoun County, we went there. If it's off limit, we'd go at nighttime. I'm not going to tell you which lakes, but we did. So from June to September, we'd go night fishing at least once a week to this particular lake because it's off limit. He told me to rig up 80-pound braided line with a ½ ounce jig, or anywhere between ½ ounce to 1 ounce jig. Bring it. So I brought it. That lake is full of brush piles on the shoreline because it's been off limits so many years. Nobody ever cleaned it. It's just full of it. It's full of little mangrove stuff, little brushes. We are just completely dark. Only thing you see is a little moon silhouette. You see a little bit of reflection in the on the surface, but we cast it right in the middle of brush pile. And I'm closing my eyes and I'm feeling everything, feeling every leaf, every drops, every rock. For how many years? For 5 years or so, I fished with it. That's how I became proficient. I'm not telling you because I don't want you to go out there and do the same thing, but sometimes don't be afraid to throw into the middle of junk. Okay, if you don't get hung up, if you don't get your lines broken, you're not fishing at all, and that's the truth. You gotta throw it in the middle of junk and then fish it.
I must have been fishing really hard last weekend. Oh, how many times I broke off?
Yeah, we fished the lake Anna hot side last weekend. We don't call it tournament because the tournament is not allowed in the hot side. We call it social outing. We do everything like the tournament do, but we don't pay the money out. So I won that one. Anyway,
Fish coming up in the morning.
they were there all day long.
Yeah.
Have you been to Lake Anna? That lake is a nuclear-powered cooling pond. It's got two parts to the lake. One is cold side, the other is warm side. The warm side is the private side, and the cold side is the public side. So public side, you can catch whatever you want, but the private side, you gotta have access to it. You got people who live there can fish it, or you got funny rules about that. Anyway, we got a club member who lives there. We got access to there and we fish there. Ultra clear water. You can see bottom at 10 foot of water or so easily. So everything you do, is it okay to talk about Lake Anna a little bit here?
Yeah, no, go. This is about fishing.
Yeah. Everything you
I'll pull it
do
up.
is just downsize everything. I'm fishing 6-pound line, fluorocarbon, with an 1/8 ounce weight, fishing with a shaky head. Oh yeah, I'll talk about the shaky head here. So shaky head, fishing with it. I'm putting my boat about a cast and a half distance from the shoreline. Already I'm 25 foot of water. But I'm casting it as far as you can, about 15 foot off the shoreline. So by then, the depth is about 5 foot, 6 foot. I'm dragging slowly. The fish were at 10 foot of water, where the water clarity kind of stops at, right there. So the key to it, I think you have to be very stealthy about it. Other guys make mistake, get right on the shoreline. Hey, I'm glad I'm hitting the shoreline where the water hits the shore on the beach. Yes, that's a mistake. You gotta stay off of it. The bigger fish gonna be at 5+ depth. You might be able to catch maybe a pound and a half at the shoreline, but you gotta be staying off a little bit, right?
So you're not gonna catch 25 pounds on the one side.
No, you're not.
You can catch a lot, but not inside.
Right,
A lot of
that's-
fish,
that's
a lot of
correct.
1-pounders, a handful of 2-pounders,
And
occasional 3-pounders.
I love to throw a shaky head as well. I love to throw a Carolina rig, especially in the you know anything about Carolina rig? You know how to rig that? Okay. Let me show you.
You got one rigged up?
No, I don't have one rigged up. But I'm going to show you real quick what this is about. I use about probably 3/4 ounce weight like this. And put a swivel, okay? You got a line here, put a swivel right here. And then you got to put about 3 feet long needle with hook on it. If I can get away with the 5 feet, I'll go get away with the 5 feet. The longer the better for me, I don't know why. And I'll put a lizard on it. But here's the key, okay? When I'm fishing the lizard, Lake Anna or Lake Winnipesaukee in Maine, or Lake Rand in Illinois, any lake that I go where the Carolina rig is going to work, I'm dragging that thing almost like a crankbait. Almost like a crankbait. That's how fast I'm dragging that thing. That's why I use almost the 1 ounce weight. I want that weight hit the bottom and stay there as long as you can. And when I'm sweeping it, I'm sweeping like this. Like this. It's like the speed is between my worm and a crankbait. I'm fishing pretty fast.
So what's the benefit of the Carolina rig?
I'm covering a lot of water because I'm fishing so fast. And I want that lizard, okay? Lizard tail to swim. A lot of people doesn't make that movement, but when you look at the tail, it's making this. And I'm catching aggressive fish. I don't want that little fish that hangs around in their house. I want the bigger fish who sees something 15 foot away who's going to come and get it. That's how I fish that.
It was a soft plastic with the Texas rig, the weight's right down on the worm as well. Opposed to the Carolina rig where your weight's
It weights on the top,
3
right?
foot, 4 foot away. So you get different action.
Different actions, yeah. Sometimes they float a little bit. But when you're fishing in Carolina, right, you have to be very, very alert with any bite. Because you got 3 to 5 foot leader, you don't get that immediate bite feeling when the fish hits it. So I use a braided line on the main line. On the leader, I use 12-pound fluorocarbon, so I can feel it a little better.
One of the bad things is you don't feel them, you tend to swallow the hook. So
Yeah.
you might want to talk about how to get a swallowed hook out.
Oh, okay.
So you don't kill the fish.
Yeah. I rarely fish any fish because I do a lot of tournaments. I probably do about 20 tournaments a year. So dead fish is about half pound penalty. So I hate to kill a fish, but sometimes the fish swallows the hook, right? So how do you take those out? This is how I do it. First of all, I don't usually cut the line, but for you, if you know how to do it, you don't know how to do it, I would usually cut the line. You grab the tip, lower jaw of the fish, you see half the hook sticking out, the barb is way inside, including the round area. Depends on which side, whether left or right, that eye of the hook is sticking out. Just to give you an example. This is one of my bigger hooks that I use for my horny toad. Like this, right? You see hooks coming like this, right? Or this way. Let's say it's like this. You're grabbing the fish like this. There's a gill on both sides. So what do? You cut the line real quick. Try to get the plastic worm out of it. If you can, don't worry about it. I'm pushing my finger, flipping it. See what I'm doing? Flipping it like this. It's going outside of the gill. So here's a gill, and you see that half of the hook is in the gill like this. So this part is facing forward, up. So what I do is press this up from the gill side. Stick my finger in here, pop right out. And next thing you do is, when it pops, just grab right here, right out. So you don't really have to cut the line. Okay, that's how you do it.
This makes it easier sometimes to get that big gob of plastic out of the way.
Yeah. But like I said, if it's under the other way like this, so you just do it the other way, come out the other way, pops it up. Yeah. So I haven't killed any fish doing like that at all.
I've fished with Tony for over 2 years now, and I've never seen him kill a fish in 2 years.
Yeah.
And he has got hooked a bunch on the Carolina River.
I'm going to show you, I'm going to go into the shaky head. This is a kind of backup plan for me. If everything fails, this is my route to catch the limiter bass. It worked for me over the years. It's going to continue to work. This was a big secret between the pros for a long time. I've actually used this in California 20 years ago. But in California, it's super clear water. They use a 4-pound line with a shaky head. 20 years ago. But shaky head became really, really popular the last 5-6 years, right? Because pros started using it in power fishing. They use like half an ounce shaky head, 15 foot of water. They catch 5-6 pounders out of Kentucky Lake. But I like to use something bigger. This is made by Zoom, 6-inch trick worm. A lot of guys would like to use a 5 or 4.5-inch, June finish worm, but I like to use something bigger. Potomac bass like to see something bigger lures. So what I do is I put a little, kind of try to poke a little hole right in here, right in the middle, about that much. Okay, and I'm doing this within 2 seconds during the tournament. Kind of go back and forth a little bit, give it a room, ups up, put a little spit right there at the nail head, and then go over. Goes like this right here, and then just like Texas style, rigging it. What I like to do, I like to expose the cup completely through the worm, and I just skin hook it. I like to skin hook this guy.
He's dead.
So when this thing lands on the bottom of the Potomac River, it's standing up like this. So this bottom of it is standing up like this. So you're out there fishing it. I'm not bringing it. There's a reason why they said a shaky head. You're actually shaking the rod tip like this, shake it, you know? So this tail is dancing like this, driving the fish nuts. I swear to God, they just go crazy on it. And I usually dip the tail with sharp iron. So they go really crazy. But when they hit this worm, somehow they like to go for the head. I've never had a bass hit the tail of it. They always go for the head. They swallow thing. But by the time you set the hook, one of the tricks to a shaky head is try to keep your rod tip into the water when you fight the fish. Don't bring it up. Maybe I should have told you this.
Yeah, I got one jump. I had my rod down when you jumped up and spit out.
I hate to when I'm fishing with a shaky head, I'm keeping my rod tip in the water because the weight and the hook is connected. So you don't have your line, you don't have the full control of the hook. Your control is dependent on this weight. So even though you have a good solid hook set, this is one of the easiest hook or rig that fish throws out. When they shake it, when they come out of the water, when they shake their head, this pops out very easily. So I've learned over the years to keep my rod tip down. As long as I keep my fish in the water, not jumping, he's coming aboard. So this is a last resort go-to lure to catch a 5 fish limit. I have probably about 3 dozen shaky head in my tackle box until I'm losing so many of them. I thought about pouring myself one, but I don't have time for it. I buy all kinds of shaky head. This is spot remover. I buy jiggy heads. I buy owners, but they're all pretty much the same. Try to buy something that's cheap, locally made, because you end up losing so many of them. I love to throw this in the riprap, in any lakes. This is how I do it. Here's another trick, okay? You know those ripraps by the road that goes in the middle of the lake? Those ripraps holds good fish. A lot of people throw a crankbait that just run down the bank, just go like 50 miles an hour, right? I'm dissecting every rock with this thing. Guess how heavy of weight that I use fishing those ripraps? Can you guess?
1/8 ounce.
There you go. Sometimes I even down to 16 ounce. What I do is I use an 8-pound line, fluorocarbon. I want the line to sink as fast as it can. When I cast it out there, I'm not letting the shaky head hit the rock. I'm barely touching it. And I'm feeling it. And I'm bouncing all the way down. With this kind of worm, it's trick worm as well as it's called floating worm. It's giving you that much buoyancy on it. With the 16 ounce or 8 ounce, it's barely touching the rocks. So I don't get hung up on those rocks. I'm just hitting bottom of it. When the fish sees it, they're gonna hit it.